Why do we think of people coming from warm countries to be warmer people and people coming from colder countries to be colder as personality? Do we actually know all of them? Of course not. It's impossible for me to know all the people in the Fiji Island or all the people in Norway. So why is that? That's simply because a stereotype that we create in our mind based on their hand movement and their non-verbal communication. People coming from colder countries tend to put their arms and their hands in front of them to cover themselves from cold, while people coming from warmer environments tend to put their hands more far away from their body as they can to prevent themselves from sweating. So how can we translate this in a business environment? So how should we keep our hands and our arms in a business communication environment? Our arms should be on our side with our fingers relaxed, and our hands should not move excessively, but also should move at some point. What do we mean by that? We mean that moving our hands too much would cause confusion in people's head, while not moving our hands at all could cause a more robotic style of communication. Therefore, we need to move our hands only when we intend to emphasize some words that we are saying at the moment. So another way of emphasizing our communication and our power is through our voice. What do we mean by that? With our voice, we mostly look at two things: strategic poses and our speed of voice. Our speed of voice should be usually 15% less than what our regular speed of voice is in a business context. This is because we want to be portrayed as somebody with power and somebody that weighs his words. So how can we slow our speed of voice? We can slow our speed of voice simply by lowering our pitch. Therefore, in this way, it will be easier for us to speak slower because a lower pitch is usually lower to pronounce than a higher pitch. While for the strategic pauses, it's important to know that strategic pauses don't have to be awkward. What do we mean by that? If I would pause right now for 5 or 6 seconds, that will cause a sense of confusion in people's head. While if I would pause for 1 to 3 seconds, that will be considered fine in a professional environment. Another way to create strategic pauses is through questions. So if I would be asking somebody to a specific question, this will pose my speech, but at the same time will give people time to think about what I just said. Also, we use pauses to give an idea of how we are important and how we weight our words as well as we do using a slower velocity of speech. It's important to remember that all the things that we talked about in Power 7 are linked to each other. Therefore, our voice is linked to our posture, is linked to our stance, is linked to our eye contact, and is linked, for instance, to the way that we move our face.